Hey everyone, so this is going to be just a little bit different than our normal My Ghost stories. Normally we just have the story being told with the silhouette in the background, but so I'm doing this one just a little bit different. I wanted to talk about our experiences that my family had after my nephew. He was actually my cousin, but I called him my nephew. He called me Aunt Amy because I was so much older than him. He was 12 years old when he passed. And most of you know who I'm talking about. I'm talking about Coty J. And if you are a member of our channel or you have been around a lot of the times when we do spirit boxes and stuff, Coty comes through a lot for my Twinkie and, you know, everybody else. But so Coty was such a fun-spirited boy. He loved everyone, and everyone loved him. He had such a good spirit about him. Like, everything he did was fun. He smiled about everything. He loved playing tricks. That was one of his favorite things to do. So he would, like, call my parents at midnight, and he would say that he was from the police department here, and that they had their son, which was my brother, in custody. He would call my dad constantly, drive him crazy, and say that he was from somewhere and that he owed a bill, or, you know, and we always knew it was Coty, but sometimes we played along just because he loved it so much. Coty was a huge fan at that time. This was a long while back. This happened in 2003, I believe, is when he passed. No, 2000 is when it happened. Yeah, 2000. Layne was only a couple of months old whenever he passed. So NSYNC was really big at that time. And Coty's favorite song was It's Gonna Be Me. So, his older sister's friend was going to Wichita, which is about 45 minutes to an hour away from us. And he wanted to ride along with them because he had raised up enough money to buy the CD. So him and his sister and the friend, they all went to Wichita. He bought the CD, and on the way home, they were involved in a car accident, and he did not make it. So everyone was crushed. Everyone was heartbroken because Coty was the light. I say he was the light of this family. He was amazing. So it took a bit for everyone to get over that one. That one was a really hard blow for our family. But then Coty let us know that he was still here. He was watching over us. There was so many signs after that. So this is where the My Ghost Story part comes in. So right off the bat, things started happening. Stereos would come on in his mom and dad's house. And it would play like pop music, stuff that was big at that time. And my aunt and uncle listened to country. So they were old school. They listened to old school country. But Coty wanted to listen to pop, so that's what he played. When his mom would be cleaning, she would be vacuuming or something, and the plug would just come out of the wall. And it wouldn't be because she was going too far with the vacuum. She would be right there by the plug, and the plug would just come out of the wall. And all of this stuff, everyone could kind of get behind of it being like just everyday random things that could have happened. But one night, they got a knock at their door, and it was the police department. And so they let them in, and they started explaining to them that they were getting a lot of prank phone calls from this address. And my aunt and uncle told them there's no way, we don't even have a phone. We have a phone line, but it's connected to the computer, and that's it. Back when it was like the dial-up. So the phone line was actually just plugged into the computer. There was no phone actually connected to it. So they were getting prank phone calls from that house, and there was no way because they didn't have a phone. So that there made us think right off the bat, Kodi. Because he was the only one that made prank phone calls from there all the time. And this was a different, they had lived in the house that's in front of it. And right after this, after Kodi had passed, they lived in a trailer right behind it. So the phone that he would have called from would have been from the other address in front of them. So, yeah, the police said, well, we're getting calls from here. You know, you need to make it stop. So that went on for just a little bit, the prank phone calls. Well, then I remember a day I was sitting, me and my husband both worked at the hospital. He had ended up having to take an extra 12-hour shift. And so that next morning I was there to pick him up. And I was parked at the emergency bay area where the extra ambulances parked and waiting on him to come out the back. And me and my sister-in-law now, she wasn't my sister-in-law then because she was much younger, we were there waiting on Kodi. And so I had the radio playing, and it kept switching over. And it would switch over to this church station. And I was like, why does it keep doing that? So I would turn it back to the station that I was listening to. And then within seconds, it would go right back to that church station. And it did this for 4 or 5 times. I knew there was nothing wrong with the stereo. And my sister-in-law had jumped out of the car because it was freaking her out. And I remember thinking, I know who this is. And so I said, Kodi J, stop it. Leave my radio alone. And it didn't do it anymore after that, after I said that. But a lot of us started sensing him around, feeling him around. You knew he was there. He would just do stuff like that. He would change the radio stations. He would just still being fun, Kodi. And I remember when me and my Kodi, my husband's name is Kodi as well. When me and my Kodi, right after we had Layne, we named her Kodi Lane. And so he used to always say, she's named after me. She's named after me. And so we would say, yes, Kodi, she's named after you. And so eventually over the years, things kind of died down a little bit. But me and Kodi actually moved in with our girls, Tori and Layne. We moved into that house, the last house that Kodi lived in. It belonged to my aunt and uncle. And we had moved into that house. We were going to rent it. And my aunt and uncle still lived in the trailer back behind us. Well, Layne, that's where she saw Kodi. And it freaked her out really bad. Because at that time, she was still learning her gifts. And so it did freak her out. But she said she saw Kodi. She saw what he looked like. And she was only a couple of months old whenever he passed. Granted, she had seen pictures of him, you know, throughout the years. But she knew it was Kodi. She said that was Kodi. And so he was making himself known that day to her. Because he really adored her when she was a baby. So I definitely think he watches over us. He watches over me, and he watches over Layne. He watches over our whole entire family. But yeah, he was an amazing young man. We miss him so much. And it has been 20 years since he's been gone. So he would have been 32 years old. I can't even fathom him as a 32-year-old. I'm sure he would still be here playing tricks on everybody and doing the practical jokes. And I think this whole entire family are pranksters. And so he got it on us. But I think he was one of the best ones out of all of us. So, but that is my story about Kodi. And all of you know that he still comes through for us all the time. Him and my Uncle Pancho. Pancho was his dad. So I know he's still here watching over us and still playing tricks. And sometimes the things that go on around here, I believe, could be him. Especially the things that are not vindictive or malicious. They're just fun little things that happen. So I still think But he's here with us. And he's still being his cute little self. So anyway, that's my ghost story. And that's our story about Coty J. Bye.